The massive chamber floated in the dark void of space. Inside, representatives from 47 different species gathered in a circle. Their ships surrounded the council station like protective guards. Some looked like insects with many legs. Others appeared as floating clouds of gas. A few resembled creatures from Earth's deepest oceans. Each species had earned their place through centuries of diplomacy and trade. Ambassador Kreth stepped forward. His scaled body reflected the chamber's blue light. The Vorlan Empire controlled 12 star systems. They viewed themselves as the strongest military force in the known galaxy. Kreth's voice boomed through the translation devices. Honored council members, Kreth began. We have discovered a new world. The inhabitants call it Earth. They barely possess the ability to leave their own planet. Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are laughable. We propose immediate action. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several ambassadors leaned forward with interest. The discovery of new worlds always created opportunities for expansion and profit. What do you suggest? Asked Council Speaker Ven. The ancient celestial being had guided the council for 300 years. Her voice carried weight that few dared to challenge. Kreth displayed holographic images above the center platform. The images showed a blue and green planet. Cities covered its surface. Vehicles moved along designated paths. Small aircraft flew through the atmosphere. Their largest vessels barely reached their moon, Kreth explained. They fight among themselves constantly. Multiple governments control different regions. They possess nuclear weapons but lack the ability to direct them beyond their own solar system. The Vorlan Empire requests permission to begin subjugation protocols. Ambassador Thora of the Merchant Guild stood next. Her forearms gestured excitedly. The prospect of new resources and trading opportunities made her eager. We support this action, Thora announced. However, we suggest careful extraction of resources. These humans might serve better as workers than as casualties. Their population exceeds 7 billion. That represents significant labor potential. Other voices joined the discussion. Some argued for observation. Others pushed for immediate exploitation. The debate grew louder. Council members raised their voices to be heard above the chaos. Then the chamber fell silent. The temperature dropped. The air itself seemed to freeze. Every being in the room felt the presence before they saw it. A figure materialized at the center of the chamber. It appeared as pure light at first. Then the light condensed into a form that resembled no known species. The Keeper had arrived. Even the eldest members of the council had never seen the Keeper in person. Stories passed down through generations described this being as ancient beyond measure. The Keeper witnessed the formation of the first galactic civilizations. They watched empires rise and fall. They remembered events that occurred millions of years before the current council existed. The Keeper's voice resonated through the chamber. It bypassed the translation devices and spoke directly into the minds of every creature present. Do not provoke Earth, 4 simple words. Yet they carried the weight of absolute certainty. Kreth recovered first from the shock. His warrior training kicked in. He straightened his posture and addressed the Keeper with forced confidence. With respect, Ancient One, Kreth said carefully. These humans possess no technology that threatens us. They cannot even travel faster than light. What danger could they possibly represent? The Keeper turned its attention to Kreth. The ambassador felt as though his very soul was being examined. I have seen what you have not. I have witnessed what your short lives cannot comprehend. Humanity is unlike any species you have encountered. They are primitive, Thora interjected. Our scans confirm this. They still use fossil fuels for energy. They experience disease and famine. They have not achieved unity even on their own planet. The Keeper's form pulsed with an emotion that might have been sadness, or perhaps warning. You judge them by your standards. You measure their worth by your technologies. This is your first mistake. Council Speaker Ven raised her hand for silence. As one of the few beings old enough to remember the Keeper from ancient texts, she understood the gravity of this moment. Ancient One, Ven spoke with proper respect. Please help us understand. Why should we fear a species that poses no immediate threat? The Keeper seemed to consider the question. Fear is not what I ask of you. Understanding is what I offer. Humanity evolved on a world you would classify as a death world. Every day of their existence was a battle for survival. They did not simply adapt to their environment. They conquered it. Many species evolved on difficult worlds, Kreth argued. The Vorlans themselves faced great challenges. Did you hunt your predators until they became prey? The Keeper asked. Did you cross frozen wastelands and scorching deserts not because you had to, but because you wanted to know what lay beyond? Did you look at the stars and decide they belonged to you? Silence filled the chamber again. No ambassador had an immediate answer. The keeper continued. Humans are persistence hunters. They do not give up, ever. When they decide on a course of action, they will pursue it until success or death, usually success. They call it determination. I call it terrifying. We have superior weapons, Kreth insisted. His voice carried less confidence now. For now, the keeper acknowledged. But humans do not need superior weapons. They need only time and motivation. And if you attack them, you will give them both. The council members looked at each other uncertainly. Some appeared convinced. Others remained skeptical. The merchant guilds calculated profit margins. The military factions assessed tactical advantages. Ambassador Kreth made his decision. With all due respect to the keeper, the Vorlan Empire cannot ignore opportunity based on ancient warnings. We will proceed with our plans. Several other ambassadors nodded in agreement. The promise of new resources and territory outweighed their caution. The keeper observed them all without judgment. Then I have fulfilled my duty, the keeper stated. I have delivered my warning. What you do with it is your choice. But know this. Every species that has underestimated humanity has regretted it. Some no longer exist to share their regrets. The light that formed the keeper's body began to fade. Before disappearing completely, the keeper spoke once more. When you see what humans become when threatened, remember that I warned you. Remember that you chose this path. And most importantly, remember that humanity does not fight wars to win. They fight wars to ensure their enemy never threatens anyone again. The keeper vanished. The temperature in the chamber returned to normal. But the chill in the air remained in the hearts of many council members. Council Speaker Ven called for a vote. The result divided the chamber almost equally. Those seeking resources and expansion narrowly won. The council granted permission for the Vorlan Empire to make contact with Earth. As the ambassadors filed out of the chamber, many felt uneasy. The keeper's warning echoed in their minds. But greed and ambition pushed those concerns aside. After all, what could a primitive species really do against the might of established galactic powers? They would soon find out. The keeper existed outside normal time and space. After leaving the council chamber, the ancient being drifted through memories that spanned millions of years. These memories held the truth about humanity. The truth that the council refused to accept. The keeper remembered the first time it noticed Earth. The planet orbited a yellow star in a quiet arm of the galaxy. Nothing about it seemed special at first. Many worlds supported life. But something about Earth felt different. The keeper decided to watch. Earth was violent. Meteors struck the surface. Volcanoes erupted constantly. The atmosphere changed from toxic to breathable and back again over millions of years. Ice ages froze the entire planet. Then the ice melted in catastrophic floods. Life appeared, life died. Life appeared again. Each time stronger. Each time more determined to survive. The keeper watched as creatures evolved in Earth's oceans. Simple organisms became complex ones. Fish developed legs and crawled onto land. Reptiles grew massive and ruled the world for millions of years. Then a rock fell from the sky. Fire consumed the planet. 90% of all life died, but 10% survived. Those survivors refused to give up. They adapted. They changed. They became something new. Small furry creatures emerged from the ashes. They learned to survive in a world designed to kill them. They learned to fear. But they also learned to fight back. The keeper observed as these creatures evolved into primates. They climbed trees to escape ground predators. They developed hands that could grip. They developed eyes that could see in 3 dimensions. They developed brains that could plan and remember and dream. Then came the moment that changed everything. The climate shifted again. Forests became grasslands. The primates had a choice. They could stay in the few remaining trees and compete for limited resources. Or they could descend to the ground and face the predators that waited there. Humanity's ancestors chose the ground. The keeper watched in fascination as these early humans developed a hunting strategy unique in Earth's history. They could not run fast like the predators. They could not fly like the birds. They could not hide like the rodents. So they did something else. They refused to stop. Humans became persistence hunters. They would select prey and follow it. The prey would run. The humans would follow. The prey would hide. The humans would find it. The prey would run again. The humans would follow again. Hour after hour, day after day if necessary. The prey would eventually collapse from exhaustion. Then the humans would kill it. Other species evolved speed or strength or camouflage. Humans evolved determination. They evolved the ability to never give up. They evolved the psychological makeup to pursue a goal long past the point where any sane creature would quit. The keeper observed as humans spread across the planet. They crossed deserts that killed other creatures in days. They climbed mountains that reached into the frozen sky. They sailed across vast oceans on crude rafts. When they reached a new land, they did not simply survive. They thrived. They adapted to every climate, every terrain, every challenge. Humans encountered creatures far stronger than themselves. Giant bears, massive cats with teeth like knives, wolves that hunted in packs. Humans studied these predators. Then humans hunted the predators. Within a few thousand years, most of Earth's large predators existed only in human myths and stories. The keeper remembered one particular trait that made humans unique. They formed bonds, not just with their own species, with everything. Humans befriended wolves and turned them into dogs. They convinced horses to carry them. They taught birds to hunt for them. They even formed emotional attachments to small creatures that served no practical purpose. This pack bonding instinct extended beyond animals. Humans bonded with places, with ideas, with causes. When humans decided something mattered, they would die for it. They would kill for it. They would reshape the world for it. The keeper witnessed human tribes war against each other. These conflicts seemed brutal and senseless. But they taught humans valuable lessons. They learned tactics. They learned strategy. They learned that coordination and communication could defeat superior numbers. They learned that wounded humans fought harder than healthy ones because they had nothing left to lose. As humans developed civilization, they created art and music and literature. The council would see this as a sign of peaceful nature. The keeper knew better. Human art celebrated warriors. Human music commemorated battles. Human literature told stories of individuals who refused to surrender against impossible odds. Everything about human culture reinforced the same message. Never give up. Never surrender. Death before defeat. The keeper recalled specific examples. A small group of warriors defending a mountain pass against an army. They all died. But they held long enough for their city to prepare defenses. Humans remembered that story for thousands of years. They told it to children. They carved it into stone. The message was clear. Sacrifice matters. Determination matters. Victory matters more than survival. Another memory surfaced. A human explorer trapped in frozen wilderness. His expedition failed. His companions died. He ate leather from his boots to survive. He walked for weeks through snow and ice. When rescuers finally found him, his first words were not about his suffering. He asked if his research notes had survived. Humans cared about goals more than comfort, more than safety, sometimes more than life itself. The keeper remembered when humans discovered science. They began to understand the rules that governed reality. Most species used this knowledge to make life easier. Humans used it to make weapons, better weapons, faster weapons, more destructive weapons. Within a few centuries, humans created devices that could destroy their entire planet. This terrified the humans themselves. They formed agreements. They promised not to use these weapons. The keeper knew these agreements would fail the moment humanity faced an existential threat. Humans would rather destroy everything than accept defeat. The keeper reflected on humanity's recent achievements. They reached their moon in primitive chemical rockets. The council laughed at this. The keeper did not laugh. Humans had decided to go to the moon. So they went. They did not have the technology. So they invented it. They did not have the resources. So they created them. They faced countless failures. So they tried again, and again, and again, until they succeeded. This was the pattern the keeper observed throughout human history. Humans identified a goal. Humans faced obstacles. Humans refused to accept the obstacles as permanent. Humans found a way, always, every single time. The size of the obstacle did not matter. The probability of success did not matter. Human determination overcame everything eventually. The keeper had witnessed thousands of species rise and fall across the galaxy. Some possessed greater intelligence than humans. Some possessed stronger bodies. Some possessed natural abilities that seemed like magic. But none possessed humanity's unique combination of traits: pack bonding, persistence, pattern recognition, adaptability, and that terrifying refusal to accept defeat. The keeper remembered other species that had underestimated primitive civilizations. The Xanthar collective conquered a world of simple farmers. The farmers seemed grateful at first. They accepted their new masters. They worked in the fields as instructed. Then one day the farmers stopped working. They demanded freedom. The Xanthar refused. The farmers fought back with farming tools and rocks. The war lasted 30 years. The farmers won. The Xanthar collective ceased to exist. Another example. The Krillian Empire enslaved a species of craftsmen. The craftsmen appeared docile and cooperative. They built beautiful things for their masters. They also built hidden weapons. They also made secret alliances. They also planned. For 50 years they planned. Then they struck. Every Krillian military installation in their home system was destroyed in a single night. The Krillian Empire never recovered. These species had determination. They had patience, but they were not human. Humans possessed something extra. The Keeper struggled to define it precisely. Perhaps it was imagination. Perhaps it was creativity. Perhaps it was simply madness. Whatever it was, it made humans dangerous beyond measure. Humans looked at impossible problems and saw interesting challenges. They looked at certain death and saw acceptable risk. They looked at overwhelming enemies and saw future victims. This psychological framework made humans nearly impossible to defeat in the long term. You could win battles against humans, but you could never win the war. Because humans would never stop coming, never stop adapting, never stop learning, never stop fighting. The Keeper floated in the void between dimensions. The warning had been delivered. The Council had received their chance to avoid catastrophe. Most had chosen to ignore the warning. The Vorlan Empire would attack Earth, and the Keeper knew exactly what would happen next. Humanity would face its first real contact with alien intelligence. That contact would be violent. That violence would unite humanity in ways nothing else could. And once united, once given a common enemy, once shown that threats existed beyond their own planet, the galaxy would learn what the Keeper had known for millions of years. Humans were not ready for galactic civilization. Galactic civilization was not ready for humans. Commander Zrak studied the blue planet through the view screen of his flagship. The Vorlan fleet consisted of 30 warships. Each vessel carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Zrak had commanded conquests on 12 different worlds. This one would be the easiest. Scan complete, reported his tactical officer. The humans have detected our presence. They are attempting communication on multiple frequencies. Ignore them, Zrak ordered. Prepare the demonstration. Target their lunar colony, the smaller settlement on the dark side. The weapons officer worked his console. Numbers scrolled across displays. Energy readings climbed. The flagship's main cannon charged with enough power to punch through a mountain. Target locked, the weapons officer announced. Fire, Zrak commanded. A beam of pure energy lanced across the void. It struck the lunar colony precisely. Domes that housed 3,000 people exploded into dust. Metal and glass and plastic scattered across the moon's surface. Human lives ended in an instant. Zrak watched the destruction with satisfaction. The demonstration would show these humans the futility of resistance. Now came the ultimatum. Open a channel to Earth, he ordered. All frequencies. Make sure every human hears this message. The communications officer nodded. Lights blinked on his console. Within seconds, every radio, television, computer, and communication device on Earth received the same transmission. Zrak spoke clearly. Humans of Earth, I am Commander Zrak of the Vorlan Empire. We have claimed your world. You will surrender all military forces. You will dismantle your weapons. You will accept Vorlan authority. You have 48 hours to comply. Resistance will result in the destruction of your major cities. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Zrak settled back in his command chair. In his experience, primitive species always reacted the same way. First came shock. Then came fear. Then came desperate attempts at negotiation. Finally came surrender, usually within 24 hours. Certainly within 48. On Earth, billions of humans received the message simultaneously. Television broadcasts were interrupted. Emergency alerts screamed from phones. Radio stations went silent, then broadcast the alien ultimatum. The planet held its breath. In the United Nations building, leaders gathered in emergency session. Representatives from every nation crammed into the chamber. Translators worked frantically. Screens displayed the Vorlan fleet hanging above their planet like a death sentence. We must negotiate, argued the delegate from a small European nation. We cannot fight ships that can destroy us from orbit. Negotiate what? Demanded the Russian ambassador. They have given us no terms except surrender. They destroyed our people without warning, without reason. They killed 3,000 humans to demonstrate their power. The Chinese delegate stood. Her voice cut through the arguing. "We have spent centuries fighting each other. Perhaps this threat can unite us instead." Silence fell across the chamber. Enemies looked at each other. Old grievances suddenly seemed petty. Ancient territorial disputes felt meaningless. For the first time in human history, every nation faced the same enemy. An enemy that threatened not just one country or one alliance. An enemy that threatened the entire species. The American president activated her microphone. "I propose immediate cooperation. Complete cooperation. We share all military technology. We coordinate all defensive efforts. We respond as one unified world." "Agreed," said Russia. "Agreed," said China. "Agreed," echoed voices from around the chamber. Within 12 hours, something unprecedented occurred. The United Earth Defense Force formed. Military commanders who had spent careers planning war against each other now sat at the same table. Scientists who had guarded national secrets shared research freely. Industries converted from civilian production to military manufacturing. The Vorlon fleet monitored Earth's communications. Zarak read the reports with confusion. "They are not attempting to negotiate," his intelligence officer reported. "They are organizing, unifying. Commander, these humans are preparing to fight." Zarak laughed. "Fight with what? They have chemical rockets and primitive explosives. Let them waste their time. It changes nothing." But something in the intelligence reports troubled him. The speed of human response seemed unusual. Most species spent days in confusion and panic. Humans had organized a planetary defense in half a day. They moved with purpose and precision. On Earth, factories that built cars retooled to build weapons. Companies that manufactured electronics shifted to military systems. Universities opened their laboratories. Researchers shared data across international networks. The planet's entire economy pivoted toward a single goal. Survival nuclear missile silos opened. Launch codes were updated. Targeting systems received new coordinates. Not aimed at other human cities anymore. Aimed at the Vorlon fleet. Humanity's most destructive weapons pointed upward for the first time. Mining vessels on asteroids received new instructions. Their drilling equipment could be weaponized. Their cargo of raw materials could become kinetic projectiles. Civilian ships in orbit prepared to ram Vorlon vessels if necessary. Humans converted everything they had into potential weapons. 48 hours passed. Zarak expected a message of surrender. Instead, he received something else. A transmission from Earth. A simple message broadcast on all frequencies. "You killed our children. We are coming." 5 words. No negotiation. No plea for mercy. Just a promise, a threat, a declaration of war. Zarak felt something he had not experienced in decades of military service. A cold sensation in his chest. Not quite fear, not yet. But close. "They attack?" his tactical officer asked with disbelief. Zarak checked the sensors. Human vessels were launching from Earth, dozens of them. Crude chemical rockets, ships designed for cargo transport, modified mining equipment. Everything humanity could throw into space was heading toward the Vorlon fleet. "This is suicide," his weapons officer observed. Zarak watched the approaching human ships. They came from all directions. No formation, no coordination, just raw aggression, pure determination. He recognized that look. He had seen it before in cornered predators, in wounded soldiers, in beings that had nothing left to lose. "Destroy them," Zarak ordered. His voice sounded less confident than before. Vorlon weapons opened fire. Energy beams sliced through the void. Human ships exploded. Debris scattered across orbital space. But more ships kept coming. For every human vessel destroyed, 2 more launched from Earth. Then something unexpected happened. One human ship did not try to attack. It did not try to maneuver. It simply accelerated directly at a Vorlon cruiser. Maximum thrust. No deviation. The human ship struck the cruiser at thousands of kilometers per hour. Both vessels exploded. The Vorlon cruiser broke apart. Atmosphere vented into space. Crew died instantly. The human ship ceased to exist. But its crew had achieved their goal. They had destroyed a ship that outclassed them in every way. Through simple physics, through mass and velocity, through the willingness to die. 3 more human ships copied the tactic. 3 more Vorlon vessels died. Zarak stared at his displays in horror. These humans were not fighting a conventional battle. They were using themselves as weapons. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we are receiving thousands of transmissions from Earth. Citizens volunteering to pilot the next wave of ships. They know they will die. They are volunteering anyway." Zarak suddenly understood the Keeper's warning. These humans were not like other species. They did not calculate odds. They did not consider surrender. They had decided to fight, so they would fight, with whatever they had, for as long as it took, until victory or extinction. And from the look of determination in their actions, extinction would claim many Vorlons before it claimed the last human. Tactical retreat, Srak ordered. Move the fleet beyond orbital range. His officers looked shocked. Vorlons never retreated from inferior opponents. Now, Srak commanded. The fleet began to pull back. As they withdrew, Srak watched Earth's surface. Lights blazed across the night side. Cities that had been dim now burned bright with activity. Humanity was not sleeping. They were building, planning, preparing. Srak sent a message back to Vorlon High Command. 3 words that he never thought he would transmit. Request immediate reinforcements. 6 weeks passed since the Vorlon fleet retreated. 6 weeks that changed everything. Commander Srak received his reinforcements. 20 additional warships arrived from Vorlon space. The fleet now numbered 50 vessels, surely enough to crush human resistance. But intelligence reports troubled Srak. The humans had not been idle. They had been busy, very busy. They are building weapons platforms in orbit, his tactical officer reported, converted from commercial satellites and space stations, mounting nuclear warheads and kinetic weapons. Crude but effective, how many platforms? Srak asked. Over 300, and they are launching more every day. Srak studied the tactical display. 300 platforms, each one a potential threat. The humans were turning their entire orbital space into a weapons grid. There is more, the officer continued. They captured one of our damaged cruisers, the one that took engine damage during the initial engagement. It drifted too close to Earth. They boarded it. Impossible, Srak said. Our crew would have activated self-destruct. They did, sir. The humans disabled it. They used cutting torches to breach the hull. They moved through the ship in pressure suits. They pulled wounded crew to safety. Then they towed the ship to Earth. Srak felt his blood run cold. Humans had captured Vorlon technology, advanced technology, faster than light drives, energy weapons, shield generators, everything they needed to understand how Vorlon ships worked. Surely they cannot comprehend our technologies, Srak said. It should take them decades to understand even basic systems. His science officer spoke up. Sir, we have been monitoring their scientific networks. They are sharing the captured technology globally. Thousands of researchers are working on it simultaneously. They have already figured out our power generation systems. They are attempting to reverse engineer the FTL drive. In 6 weeks? Srak could not believe it. Yes, sir. Humans appear to learn very quickly when properly motivated. Srak ordered an assault. His 50 warships moved toward Earth. This time they would not demonstrate. This time they would destroy. Weapons charged. Targeting systems locked onto major human cities. But before they could fire, the orbital defense platforms activated. 300 weapons platforms opened fire simultaneously. Nuclear warheads streaked through space. Kinetic projectiles accelerated to devastating speeds. Makeshift laser arrays focused their beams. The combined firepower surprised the Vorlon fleet. Vorlon shields absorbed most of the damage, but not all. 2 cruisers took critical hits. Their shields collapsed under the sustained barrage. Nuclear explosions tore through their hulls. Both ships broke apart. Return fire, Srak commanded. The Vorlon fleet unleashed its weapons. Energy beams sliced through space. Missiles traced deadly arcs. Dozens of human platforms exploded. But more kept firing, and more kept launching from Earth. The humans were replacing losses faster than the Vorlons could destroy them. Then human ships arrived. Not the crude chemical rockets from before. These ships moved differently, faster, more precisely. Some even had shield generators. They have functional shields. Srak stared at the display. Primitive versions, his tactical officer confirmed. Weak compared to ours. But they work. Sir, they built these ships in 6 weeks. The human ships did not fight conventionally. They attacked in swarms. They used the orbital platforms for cover. They coordinated their strikes. They targeted damaged Vorlon vessels. They learned from each engagement and adapted their tactics. Most disturbing was their complete lack of fear. Human pilots flew directly into Vorlon weapons fire. They sacrificed themselves to score hits. They used damaged ships as rams. They fought with a desperation that bordered on insanity, except it was not desperation. Srak realized this as he watched the battle unfold. This was calculation, cold mathematical assessment. Each human death bought time for others to strike. Each sacrifice weakened the Vorlon fleet. The humans traded their lives for tactical advantage. And they did it willingly. 3 more Vorland ships fell. Then 2 more. The humans were actually winning. Withdraw, Serac ordered. Pull back to defensive formation. The fleet retreated again. This time they moved beyond the moon's orbit, far enough to be safe from human weapons, close enough to maintain a blockade. Serac sent for the Vorland prisoners captured during the first battle, the ones pulled from the damaged cruiser. Guards brought 5 crew members to the command deck. "Tell me about the humans," Serac demanded. The senior prisoner spoke, a weapons officer who had spent 3 weeks in human custody before being exchanged. "They treated us well, Commander. Medical care for our wounded. Food appropriate to our biology. Comfortable quarters. They asked questions. Thousands of questions. About our ships. Our technology. Our culture. Our tactics, everything, and you told them?" Serac asked angrily. "We told them nothing classified. But they learned anyway. They are very good at learning, Commander. They observe. They analyze. They test hypotheses. They never stop asking questions. What else?" The weapons officer hesitated. "They showed us their history. Their wars. Commander, these beings have fought each other for their entire existence. They know more about warfare than any species in the galaxy. They invented tactics we have never seen, strategies we never considered, and now they are applying all of that knowledge against us." Serac dismissed the prisoners. He sat alone in his command chair and considered his options. The Vorlan Empire had never faced an enemy like this, never fought beings who refused to surrender, who learned from every defeat, who turned every loss into a lesson. More reports arrived. Human ships were leaving Earth's solar system. Small craft fast, heading toward Vorlan colonies. These ships carried no weapons. They carried humans. Teams trained in infiltration and sabotage. The first team struck a mining operation. They did not kill the workers. They freed them. Vorlan colonies used slave labor from conquered worlds. The humans broke the chains. They gave weapons to the slaves. They taught them to fight. Then they vanished before Vorlan security could respond. Within days, 3 colonies experienced uprisings. The slaves that Vorlans had oppressed for generations suddenly believed freedom was possible. Because humans showed them it was possible, the rebellion spread. Serac received orders from Vorlan High Command. They were sending the entire Third Fleet, 100 warships. Surely that would be enough. But Serac was not so certain anymore. He watched Earth through his view screen. The planet glowed with activity. Factories worked around the clock. Shipyards in orbit constructed new vessels. Research facilities developed new weapons. The entire human species had mobilized for total war. Serac remembered the Keeper's warning. "Do not provoke Earth." Now he understood why. Not because humans were strong, but because humans were unstoppable. They possessed something beyond technology, beyond weapons. They possessed will, unbreakable, unshakable, terrifying will. The Vorlans had started this war expecting quick victory. Now Serac wondered if they could achieve any victory at all. Worse, he wondered if the Vorlan Empire would survive what they had awakened. On Earth, a broadcast went out across all human channels. The Secretary General of the United Nations stood before cameras. Behind her, representatives from every nation stood united. She spoke clearly. "We did not seek this war. We did not want this conflict. But since it has come to us, we will finish it. To any species listening across the galaxy, know this. Humanity will never surrender. We will never stop fighting. We will learn your technology. We will match your weapons. We will surpass your abilities. And when we do, we will show you the meaning of mercy, because unlike you, we remember what it means to be oppressed. We will break your chains. We will free your slaves. We will end your tyranny." She paused, then delivered the final message. "You wanted to meet humanity. Now you have. We hope you survived the introduction." The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Ambassadors from 47 species filled the chamber with urgent voices. The topic dominated every conversation. Earth, humanity, the war that threatened to reshape galactic politics. Council Speaker Ven called for order. The ancient Celestial raised her hand. Silence gradually fell. "The situation has escalated beyond anyone's expectations," Ven announced. "Ambassador Kreth, please provide your report." Kreth stood. The Vorlan ambassador looked different than before. His scales had lost their shine. His posture showed exhaustion. His voice carried defeat. "The Vorlan Empire has suffered significant losses. 17 warships destroyed, 12 colonies experiencing slave rebellions. Human forces have penetrated 3 of our core systems. They are not simply fighting us. They are liberating populations we have controlled for generations. Murmurs spread through the chamber. 17 warships. The Vorlon military was supposed to be invincible. Yet humans had destroyed nearly a third of the invasion fleet. How is this possible? Demanded the representative from the Kelvar Dominion. They are a primitive species. They barely had space travel 3 months ago. Kreth's voice grew bitter. They learn. They adapt. They never stop. We destroy their ships, they build better ones. We develop new tactics, they counter them within days. We wound them, they fight harder. It is like fighting a force of nature. Ambassador Thora of the Merchant Guild stood. Her forearms gestured anxiously. This affects trade routes across 3 sectors. The slave rebellions are spreading beyond Vorlon territory. Species we conquered centuries ago are remembering what freedom means. The humans are teaching them. The representative from the Xanthex hegemony spoke coldly. Then we must unite against this threat. The Vorlon Empire clearly cannot handle humanity alone. We propose a coalition. Multiple species. Combined military force. Overwhelming power. Several ambassadors nodded agreement. The logic seemed sound. Humanity had defeated 1 empire. But could they defeat 5? 10? 20? Council Speaker Ven looked troubled. Before we make such a decision, perhaps we should hear from those who have actually encountered humans. Not in battle. In other circumstances. A small ambassador stepped forward. She represented the Mira species, a peaceful race of traders who had no military power. Her people operated merchant vessels throughout the galaxy. One of our cargo ships suffered engine failure near Earth's solar system, she explained. We drifted helplessly. We expected to die. Then human vessels arrived. They towed us to a repair station. They fixed our ship. They gave us supplies. They asked for nothing in return. When we offered payment, they refused. The chamber fell silent. This did not match the image of savage warriors, the Mira ambassador continued. They asked about our trade routes, about species we encountered, about conditions on different worlds. They were particularly interested in worlds with slave populations. They asked if we knew about oppression, about injustice. We told them yes. We have seen much suffering in our travels. The humans said they would help, that all beings deserved freedom. Another voice spoke from the chamber. A representative from the Helkar people, a species that had been enslaved by the Vorlons for 3 generations. Humans came to our world, the Helkar said quietly. They did not arrive with overwhelming force. They came in small teams. They taught us to fight. They gave us weapons. They showed us tactics. But most importantly, they believed in us. For the first time in 3 generations, someone told us we deserved freedom. Someone helped us take it. The ambassador's voice grew stronger. The Vorlons told us we were weak, that we needed masters, that we existed to serve. The humans told us we were strong, that we deserved respect, that we controlled our own destiny. They did not free us. They helped us free ourselves, Kreth interrupted angrily. They are manipulating you, using you as weapons against us. The Helkar representative turned to face him. Perhaps, but I would rather be a free weapon than a slave. The humans offered us a choice. You never did. Council Speaker Ven raised her hand again. The debate was getting heated. She needed to restore order. We face a decision, Ven announced. Do we unite against humanity? Or do we seek peace? The Xanthex representative spoke firmly. Peace is weakness. We show strength. We form a coalition and crush them before they become stronger. Then the chamber's atmosphere changed. The temperature dropped. Light dimmed. Every being in the room felt the presence. The keeper had returned. The ancient being materialized at the center of the chamber. Its form pulsed with an emotion that might have been sadness. I warned you, the keeper's voice resonated through every mind. Do not provoke Earth, you chose not to listen. Now you face the consequences. The Xanthex representative tried to maintain confidence. We are not the Vorlons. We have greater numbers, superior technology, combined forces from multiple empires. Surely humanity cannot stand against the united power of the galaxy. The keeper turned its attention to the Xanthex ambassador. You still do not understand. Humanity does not fight to win battles. They fight to ensure their enemies can never threaten anyone again. If you attack them, they will not stop until they have dismantled every empire that poses a threat. But we have resources they cannot match, another ambassador argued. We have centuries of technological advancement for now, the keeper acknowledged. But humans closed a 1,000-year technology gap in 3 months. How long do you think your advantage will last? 6 months, a year? And what then? You will face a species that understands your technology as well as you do. A species that never stops learning, never stops adapting, never stops fighting. The keeper moved to the center of the chamber. Its presence commanded attention from every ambassador. I have observed humanity for millions of years. I have watched them survive extinction events, conquer predators, overcome impossible obstacles. They possess a trait that terrifies me. Do you know what that trait is? Silence answered. No ambassador dared speak. Hope, the keeper said softly. Humans always hope. No matter how dark the situation, no matter how overwhelming the odds, they believe they can win, and that belief makes them dangerous beyond measure. Because beings who hope never surrender. They never accept defeat. They never stop trying. The keeper paused, then continued with greater force. But hope alone would not concern me. Humanity combines hope with something else. They extend that hope to others. They form bonds. They inspire. They make other species believe freedom is possible, justice is achievable, a better future exists. This is why slave rebellions spread. This is why conquered peoples rise up. Humanity does not just fight for themselves. They fight for everyone they consider friends. And humans consider everyone potential friends until proven otherwise. Ambassador Thora spoke carefully. Ancient One, what do you suggest? Should we simply accept human dominance? I suggest you make peace, the keeper responded. Genuine peace. Not a temporary truce, not a strategic pause. Real peace built on mutual respect. Humanity does not want to conquer you. They want to ensure you never threaten them again. Give them that assurance. Change your ways. End slavery. End oppression. Treat other species as equals. Do this and humanity will become your greatest ally. The Xanthex representative scoffed. You ask us to abandon our way of life, our power structures, our economic systems, all because one species throws a tantrum. The keeper's form flickered. I ask nothing. I merely explain your options. Option 1, make peace. Change your societies. Join humanity in building a better galaxy. Option 2, fight. Watch as humanity tears down everything you have built. Watch as every oppressed species rises against you. Watch as your empires crumble. And if we choose option 2, the Xanthex ambassador asked defiantly. Then I hope your species has good historians, the keeper replied. Because future generations will study your fall as a lesson in what happens when you underestimate humanity. The keeper began to fade. Before disappearing, it spoke one final time. I have watched civilizations rise and fall for millions of years. I have seen countless species reach for greatness. But I have never seen anything like humanity. They are unique in the history of the galaxy. Not because they are strong, not because they are smart, but because they refuse to accept that anything is impossible. That trait will either save this galaxy or reshape it completely. The choice of which outcome occurs rests with you. The keeper vanished. The chamber remained silent for long minutes. Every ambassador contemplated the ancient being's words, some with fear, some with anger, some with thoughtful consideration. Council Speaker Venn finally spoke. We will vote. Those in favor of forming a military coalition against humanity. Those in favor of seeking peace terms, consider carefully. This decision will define the future of galactic civilization. The vote began. Ambassadors chose sides. The chamber divided. But something had changed. Before the keeper's appearance, the vote would have heavily favored war. Now uncertainty filled many minds. The Helkar representative's words echoed. The Mira ambassador's story resonated. And the keeper's warning could not be ignored. Humanity had proven they could fight. The real question was whether the galaxy could afford to be their enemy, or whether it would be better to become their friend. The council vote concluded. 28 ambassadors voted for peace. 19 voted for war. It was close. Too close. But the decision was made. The Galactic Council would seek peace terms with Earth. Council Speaker Venn composed the message carefully. Every word mattered. This communication would determine whether the galaxy moved toward cooperation or continued conflict. The transmission reached Earth within hours. Human leaders gathered to review the proposal. The Galactic Council requested immediate ceasefire. They offered to negotiate peace terms. They acknowledged humanity's right to exist as an independent species. They suggested formation of a diplomatic delegation. The President of the United Earth Defense Force read the message aloud to assembled world leaders. Reactions varied. Some felt relief. Others expressed skepticism. A few demanded continued warfare until total victory. The Russian premier spoke first. They attack us without warning. They kill 3,000 of our people. Now they want peace because we hurt them back. Why should we trust them? The Chinese chairman responded. Because continuing this war serves no purpose. We have proven we can defend ourselves. We have shown we will not be conquered. Now we must show we can build peace. Debate filled the chamber for hours. Finally, the president called for a vote. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would attend peace negotiations, but with conditions. 6 weeks later, a human delegation arrived at the council station. 5 representatives, each from a different continent, each representing different aspects of human civilization. They traveled in a ship built from captured Vorlon technology, improved, enhanced, made better. The council chamber filled with ambassadors eager to see humans in person, curious, nervous, some fearful. The human delegation entered through the main portal. They walked with confidence. Their eyes took in everything, observing, analyzing, learning. Ambassador Chen Li spoke for humanity. She was a former diplomat from China. Now she represented all of Earth. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. We come in peace, she began, but we come with demands. We will not accept simply returning to the status quo. Too much has changed. Too much blood has been spilled. We propose a new framework for galactic civilization. Council Speaker Ven gestured for her to continue. Please share your proposals. Ambassador Chen activated a holographic display. Text appeared above the center platform. The Covenant of Equals. The document outlined a new vision for galactic society. First, Chen announced, universal species rights. Every sapient being deserves freedom. The right to self-determination. The right to govern themselves. No species may enslave another. No empire may conquer without consequence. Several ambassadors shifted uncomfortably. This proposal threatened their economic systems, their power structures, their way of life. Second, Chen continued, mutual defense pacts. Any species that agrees to these terms receives protection. Attack one, attack all. We stand together against aggression, against oppression, against tyranny. Third, representation for all. This council should include every species, not just the powerful, not just the wealthy. Every voice deserves to be heard. Every species gets a vote. Fourth, technology sharing. We do not hoard knowledge. We share it. We advance together, not as competitors. As partners, Ambassador Kreth stood abruptly. This is madness. You propose dismantling systems that have existed for millennia. You want to reshape galactic civilization according to human ideals. Why should we accept this? Ambassador Chen turned to face him. Her expression remained calm, but her words carried steel. Because the alternative is continued war, and we have proven we excel at war. We would rather build than destroy. We would rather cooperate than conquer. But we will do what is necessary to ensure our safety and the freedom of others. She paused, then added quietly, You asked why you should accept this. Let me be clear. We are not asking. We are offering you a choice. Join us in building a better galaxy, or stand aside while we build it anyway. But if you oppose us, you will fall. Not because we want to destroy you, but because oppression cannot coexist with freedom. You must choose which you value more. The Xanthex ambassador spoke angrily. You threaten us. You demand we abandon our sovereignty. This is conquest disguised as peace. Another human delegate stepped forward. Commander Sarah Okafor, a military officer who had fought in the orbital battles. Her voice was harder than Chen's. You attacked us without provocation, Okafor stated. You killed our people as a demonstration. You expected us to surrender. We did not. We fought back, we won. Now you complain that we threaten you. Consider this perspective. We could have continued the war. We could have pursued your fleets back to your homeworlds. We could have done to you what you intended to do to us. We chose not to. That choice was mercy. Do not mistake mercy for weakness. Silence fell across the chamber. The human delegation had made their position clear. This was not negotiation. This was ultimatum. Then a new voice spoke. The Mira ambassador, the peaceful trader who had been helped by humans. I support this covenant, she said simply. My people have no military power. We have no empire. We have survived by being useful to others. But we have also witnessed great suffering. Slavery, oppression, injustice. If humanity offers a way to end these things, I vote yes. The Helkar representative stood. His people had been freed by human intervention. My species also votes yes. For the first time in 3 generations, we are free. We will support any system that protects that freedom. More voices joined. Species that had been conquered, enslaved, oppressed. One by one, they pledged support. The balance of power in the chamber shifted visibly. Council Speaker Ven raised her hand. She had guided the council for 300 years. She recognized a turning point in history. We will vote on the Covenant of Equals, Ven announced. Each article separately. Each species decides for themselves. Those who accept the covenant will be protected by it. Those who reject it will be outside it. The voting began. Article 1, Universal Species Rights. 32 species voted yes, 15 voted no. The article passed. Article 2, Mutual Defense. 35 voted yes, 12 voted no. Passed Article 3, Universal Representation. 38 voted yes, 9 voted no. Passed Article 4, Technology Sharing. 29 voted yes, 18 voted no. Passed. The Covenant of Equals became law. Not universal law, not yet, but the majority had spoken. A new era had begun. The Vorlon Empire dissolved within a year. Not through military conquest, through internal collapse. Their slave populations rebelled. Their colonies demanded independence. Their military refused to fight for an oppressive system. The empire that had controlled 12 star systems simply ceased to exist. Other empires watched and learned. Some adapted. They freed their slaves. They reformed their governments. They joined the covenant. Others refused. They isolated themselves. They maintained their old ways. But their power diminished. Their influence faded. Humanity kept their promises. They shared technology freely. They defended covenant members from aggression. They helped rebuild worlds damaged by war. They taught. They learned. They formed friendships across the galaxy. 6 months after the peace agreement, the Keeper requested a private meeting with Ambassador Chen. They met in a quiet observation room overlooking the galaxy. You changed everything, the Keeper observed. Chen smiled slightly. You warned them not to provoke Earth? They did not listen. The Keeper's form pulsed with something that might have been amusement. I warned them not to provoke Earth. I should have warned them what would happen if they did. You did not simply defend yourselves. You transformed galactic civilization. That was always going to happen, Chen replied. Once we reached the stars, once we met other species, humanity would never accept a galaxy built on oppression. We spent too long fighting against it on our own world. We understand what tyranny cost. We will not permit it to continue. The Keeper moved closer to the observation window. Stars stretched endlessly before them, and if species refuse, if they fight against your new order, then they will fall, Chen said simply. Not because we want war, but because freedom is not negotiable. Justice is not optional. We will offer peace to anyone who accepts these principles, but we will not compromise on them, ever. The Keeper was silent for a long moment. You terrify me, it finally said, and I have existed for millions of years. Chen turned to face the ancient being. Why do we terrify you? Because you mean it, the Keeper replied. Every word. Every promise. You will do exactly what you say. You will reshape the galaxy. You will end oppression. You will spread freedom, and nothing will stop you. Not superior numbers, not advanced technology, not time, not death. You will persist until you succeed or until the universe itself ends. That determination, that absolute refusal to accept defeat, that is what terrifies me. The Keeper paused, then added more softly. But it also gives me hope. For the first time in millions of years, I have hope that the galaxy can become something better. And I learned that hope from you. Chen smiled. Hope is what makes us human. Hope and the belief that we can make things better. Not perfect, but better. Always better. That is enough. They stood together in silence. An ancient being and a human ambassador, looking out at the galaxy, watching as dozens of species began to embrace new philosophies, as slave worlds gained freedom, as oppressive governments reformed or fell, as the Covenant of Equals